following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on a break!
With Nick Eatman, David Hellman, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Tuesday, September 18th, 2018, season 14, episode number 42. Welcome to another edition of The Break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We got a great show lined up for you guys today. A lot to talk about. It's a Tuesday, so we'll do a little bit of a big picture look around the league, where the Cowboys rank in some statistical categories, some interesting things there, both good and bad. And then a little later in the show, we're going to actually get into evaluating each of the positions for the Cowboys and talk about our confidence meter at each position. Let these guys tell us what they think after two games, how they're feeling about each of these position groups. All right, so we're going to do that. Should be a fun show. Let's jump right in. Let's first hit some news. Bryce Butler, his name's all over the news today and has been over the news yesterday and today with the possibility that the Cowboys will be signing him. What do you guys know at this point?
Well, DallasCowboys.com doesn't have anything yet. ESPN doesn't have anything. The Fort Worth Star-Telegram, Dallas Morning News. I don't think anybody's got anything official, but the Duffington Post.
That's the
The Duffington Post, Bryce Butler himself announced it.
Sent out a press release.
Posted a picture of himself in his Cowboys uniform, said it's a done deal. God is good. You can always count on Bryce to hype himself up, man. So, I mean,
Gotta love Bryce.
It's funny.
I really enjoy being around Bryce.
The machinations of this, officially, obviously, you can clear a roster spot in 2 seconds, but officially, a roster spot is not open for him, and the team would probably prefer to do it a different way. But Bryce Butler is going to Bryce Butler, so he let us all know that he's back. So.
Okay, let's assume
Welcome
for a second.
back.
Let's assume for a second that Bryce's report is accurate. Let's assume that he got the right report. What kind of role could he play on this team? What are you expecting his role to be? I mean, they've got a bunch of receivers that are kind of the same type of guy. Is he the same type of guy, that mid-level kind of wide receiver?
I think what you're seeing, though, is that there's an effort to get more speed on this team. And Tavon Austin, obviously, in the acquisition there. And then Deontay Thompson, he's not only on the team, but he's having a bigger role in the offense. You're seeing him make some plays, make some catches. And then, to add Bryce Butler, that's what he does. He extends the offense a little bit more. So to answer your question, basically what you're saying is who's he taking? Whose spot is he taking on the field?
Or role.
Or role.
Doesn't have to be a player.
Yeah,
role.
right now they'll have 7 receivers. I think, we've talked about this a little bit and not to get into it, but, there may not be 7 receivers on this team come Sunday. So we'll see what happens there. I think you kind of know, but just by judging who's playing and see kind of who could be an odd man out, however way that is. But I think that they want to get more vertical in the passing game, and I think Bryce is a good guy to do it.
I also think, and no way do I think he's just going to step in here and play the same amount of snaps that Dez would have, but he's probably the closest thing to a real X body type that you have here now. I mean, we always said that about Allen Hurns, but I think Bryce is I don't like using the word thick, but he's thicker and more physical, I think, than Allen Hurns probably. And they don't really do the back shoulder ball anymore, but he's a guy that can do that type of stuff. So he's the closest thing to a prototypical outside the numbers receiver among these guys.
I believe
among the faster guys for sure.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
and Noah Brown can't play right now. He's on IR. So
yeah, he if he had enough catches to qualify, he would have ranked, I think, 3rd in the NFL last year in average per catch. Bryce at around 19.6 or something. I get it. You have to do it over a course of, I think the guy in Detroit led the league last year, Marvin Jones. Is he still in Detroit?
Yeah.
Marvin Jones. But I mean, it's that he's got some big playability, and he's done it here. I mean, a couple times in that Arizona game, I remember that's probably one of the reasons they signed him. I mean, he had a really couple of nice catches in there. Dak kind of was rolling right and throws it up. He's a big target, like you said, and he's easy to see. And I think he'll be good in whatever role that they use him, and I think it'll be a downfield threat.
There was obviously a reason why the Cowboys didn't sign him back when he was a free agent. What's changed? I mean, it's a situation where right now they just feel like they want to get another body in here of somebody that maybe knows the offense. Or is it a situation where just the money didn't work? He thought higher of himself at that point.
Well, he always thinks higher of himself. I mean, he told me before the Arizona preseason game that he would be starting in Arizona, but even though he's going to play tonight and play into the third quarter of
when
a
you said
preseason
tonight, you were
game,
talking about that preseason
third preseason game, and he didn't start and didn't make the team, and so he always just to say, yeah, Skip Bayless, I'm going to come on your show and I'm going to talk about Dez and all this stuff. I mean, I think it was just like, all right, there's no room for him here. But what's changed? Well, this summer changed, and what they thought they could get out of Terrence Williams, it hasn't happened. He got hurt. He wasn't in the offseason. He did not have a good offseason off the field, obviously. I don't think that's over yet. And so now Terrence Williams isn't providing anything, for you there. So there's one thing. Alan Hearns, I don't know if has been lighting the world on fire. I don't know if they're super excited about him. And Gallup is still developing. So I just think that there's a need for a veteran type of guy.
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that. Even with all that being true, like I don't hate this signing, and Bryce definitely flashed some big play potential, but the Cowboys clearly didn't view him as a priority last year. And I think the year before that, they only even brought him back because they didn't think they could get Terrence back.
Right. He was their insurance policy.
Which I don't know.
That was a bad one.
It is what it is, but
What was a bad one, Terrence or him?
Terrence. But see, the thing about it was, you can say now that it was bad, and I'm saying it, but I know we were all surprised at the contract and how low it was.
Exactly. To be able to get him at the numbers that they got him, I don't think was necessarily a bad.
Brian Broaddus says it all the time, and he was right on this one. You don't fall in love with your team. And don't fall in love with the fact that Terrence Williams is so great, and you got to get him. With 31 other teams, we're like, we're not paying him anywhere close to that. And we don't want to sign him at all, and they did. So, I mean, and now they're kind of stuck with it for now.
Yeah. What I was going to say, I mean, yeah, whatever. I'll just own it. I'd rather go big and give up a 5th-round pick for Josh Gordon than do this, in all honesty.
Really?
Yeah, I would. And I get that it might blow up in your face, but like Bryce Butler caught 43 balls in 3 seasons here. Like, I think his career high was 19 or 20. I mean, this isn't gonna boom. I really doubt it's gonna boom. He's gonna be Bryce Butler. Like, he'll get some snaps, he'll make some big plays. And I don't know what Josh Gordon's gonna do, and maybe that would blow up in their face, but it's a 5th-round pick and a guy that has at least the potential to be a real difference maker, and a guy that can clean out the box. Like, a guy that I really think defenses will probably key on more than any other receiver on this team. And I know, Randy Gregory's here. David Irving will be here in a couple weeks. The receivers room is young. And I know that. You got a rookie in Michael Gallup who you probably want good influences around, but it is a very low cost and a very high reward. And, I'm not going to kill him too much for doing it because, like I said, I get it. There's a lot of concerns there. But if you're going to sign a guy who isn't expensive and has a chance of failing, I'd rather go big than just bring back the guy that you didn't like last year.
Yeah, I get your point, and that's when I'm kind of struggling with, because I agree with you from that standpoint that that's one of those risks that's like, well, the upside is so big that you really kind of want to see if you want to take that chance. Like, it might be worth taking the chance. I also look at it from the other side that this is a guy that hasn't consistently been on the field for 2 years.
3.
In 3 years. And so the likelihood that at this point now he's going to all of a sudden get it all right and be able to consistently be on the field for you is probably, you're probably shooting in the dark, right? I mean, so who knows whether he'll be able to even play in New England there.
Don't you think something happened? Don't you think something happened in Cleveland where, they're like, enough is enough?
Point.
I mean,
that's
the word on the street is that he misled the front office and strained his hamstring shooting a commercial on a Friday night when he wasn't supposed to be. Right. Which, to me, and I don't know everything. And clear, like, that dude's got so much baggage. I get it. And that's why I'm not going to sit here and shout fire and brimstone that I think this is just the dumbest decision ever. There's plenty of reasons not to do this. And it reminds me of the Greg Hardy situation where you took a gamble. Not only did it not really pay off, but it was a bad influence on a lot of the guys in there. Yep. But I think the issues that I know about marijuana smoking, I think it's easier to manage than very extreme and bad legal issues, in my opinion.
I feel like the Randy Gregory situation is affecting that move. Let's not say that the Cowboys, maybe Cleveland didn't want to draft him or trade him to anywhere else. I mean, that's what they want. Maybe they got the best offer. Maybe the Cowboys did send the same type of thing. But I just feel like, the Cowboys haven't. I mean, Randy Gregory's not 100% out of the woods here. I mean,
no,
they say it all the time and never will be. So you're already dealing with that. I think it's questionable to say that the Cowboys have, I mean, yes, they've helped him, but it's a process here. I just don't know if adding Josh Gordon helps with that. That's another thing. You got two of them. You're right about David Irving. Really, three of them. Three guys like that. And I mean, great upside. But I just feel like Cleveland's been so patient with this. Something happened to the point where they're just like, we got to wash our hands of this. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised. If
you might be right.
Something else.
I always say these things can't be black and white. Like, I can say that I would have I can say that I would have done it, and I'm a little disappointed that the Cowboys didn't do it, but I certainly understand the logic. I don't think that they're stupid for not doing it. There's plenty of reasons not to do it, but I looked at it. I'm going to steal a line from a Redskins reporter, actually, which this is crazy. Josh Gordon's big year, 1,600 yards, all that good stuff, was the same year that Robert Griffin was coming back from his ACL tear.
Oh, geez.
That's
like forever ago.
That's ancient history. Yeah. Having said that, in his 2 seasons that he has been a part of since then, he's played 5 games in each of them, averaged around 18 yards per catch in each of them. And I did the math. Had he played 16 games, the math on his season is about 1,000 yards, about 60, 70 catches and 1,000 yards, 16 games. So it is a huge gamble that you can count on him for 16 games, but in the small sample sizes, he was still putting up better numbers than most of the guys in this locker room.
But you know what I hear out of all that, and it really saddens me, is that essentially this guy had the potential to maybe be one of the best to ever do it.
Absolutely.
And he basically just threw it away. And that's sad to me because it's rare that anybody gets that level of talent,
Which I remember him at Baylor when I was really following that team, and I remember him as a young guy that they were like, the coaches were like, if we can just get him to Saturday, we just get him to the games, he could be, he's unbelievable. He doesn't really know any of the plays, but of course at Baylor in that system, you don't really need to, because you're seeing a lot of those receivers that are doing great things. They're not even in the league. I mean, they cut Corey Coleman, a first-round pick, to make room for him.
Yeah,
so
and we're not even talking about Corey Coleman. Like, the Cowboys have no interest there.
He doesn't learn the offense. I mean, Terrence, give Terrence credit. He might be, other than Josh Gordon, but he might be the best one. I mean, Kendall Wright's been pretty good in the league, right?
I'd say consistently Kendall Wright's probably been the best because he's been at least consistent,
I mean, Katie Cannon, put up great numbers. But my point is that he was Josh Gordon so freakishly talented, and he came into people saw him on Hard Knocks. He was like, I know these plays, and he caught a great touchdown against Pittsburgh, and I mean, but I just feel like they know more than anything, and I feel like something may be coming down the road.
You might be right, and to bring it back full circle, Bryce is a much safer signing, and he's probably going to make much safer contributions to the team.
And he can DJ. I mean,
he can DJ.
Have a party, you can DJ.
I'll be shocked if his numbers this go around are drastically better than the first 2, which that's fine. He will play a role in the offense. He will make some plays that get you excited, but I don't think Bryce Butler is going to finish with 1,000 yards for this team.
All right, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about where the Cowboys are ranking around the league in some interesting categories: pass offense, pass defense, a lot of those different categories. There's some interesting things to note there. We'll get into that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
It can be hard to find the right resource for learning about important financial matters. You search how to build savings, you end up reading about the one weird ingredient from supermarkets that can make you taller. That's why Bank of America built BetterMoneyHabits.com, a safe little corner of the internet for answering your financial questions. Full of simple videos and tips, Better Money Habits can show you how to make the most of your money without resorting to random searches that always seem to lead to unbelievable photos of childhood stars grown up. To learn more, visit bettermoneyhabits.com.
I definitely have an Instagram foodie thing, but the low-light camera on my new Samsung Galaxy S9 from AT&T is getting me a whole new world of likes and shares. Baskets of bread by candlelight, colorful fruit plates in full sun. Even a dimly lit Cobb salad was recently hailed as a masterpiece.
Come in now and ask how to get half off the new Samsung Galaxy S9 from AT&T. AT&T, more for your thing. That's our thing. Limited time only. See store for details or att.com/Samsung50. The dual aperture supports f1.5 mode and f2.4 mode. Dual aperture is installed on the rear camera.
Oh, I am craving a Dr. Pepper.
I got some soda.
I asked not for soda. I asked for ice cold, craveable Dr. Pepper. Its flavor is more one of a kind than a four-toed sloth with a thirst for speed. So stop settling for soda and start demanding Dr. Pepper.
I love sloths.
When you crave a Dr. Pepper, nothing else will do. Grab an ice-cold 20-ounce Dr. Pepper today. Dr. Pepper, the one you crave.
To work this big land, you need equipment with values rooted as deep in Texas soil as you are. Like John Deere compact tractors with a 6-year powertrain warranty and big features that help you work less so you have more time to do what you love. John Deere was first in the Texas fields, and we're proud to be on the field as the official ag and turf equipment of the Dallas Cowboys. Find Texas-sized deals at myjohndeeredealer.com/football. Terms, conditions, exclusions, and warranty limitations apply. See dealer for details.
Back to the break.
Welcome back. It is the second segment of the break, live from the SWBC Morgan Studios at the Star, talking Cowboys football as we do every day here on the break. We'll take phone calls throughout the show as well. If you guys have any pressing things you want to talk to us about, any questions, any comments, you can call us. Numbers 888-855-2297. Again, it is 888-855-2297. We'll take your calls that way. Let's talk a little bit about how the Cowboys are ranking around the league. I went to look up a few stats just to see where the Cowboys rank, and it seems very apparent. I don't know that it's something we don't already know, but defensively, they rank really high in a lot of categories.
Mm-hmm.
Offensively, they rank really low in a lot of categories. Very similar to what we've already seen on the field. And again, I think we could have all predicted this, but let me just throw some of these numbers out there, and I want to get your reaction. Passing offense, Cowboys right now are 30th in the league, only generating 149 yards per game through the air. Rushing offense, 11th in the league. Not horrible, but certainly not where you would think they would be with the rushing attack that they have, only getting 116 yards per game through the first 2 games. Yards offensively, they're 30th in the league. Again, only 265 yards per game. Scoring offense, 29th in the league, only getting 14 points per game. You look at those offensive numbers. Are you any more concerned than you were before, seeing where they rank relative to other teams in the NFL?
I'm going to say no. I'm going to sound like a grumpy old man because, I didn't need to hear the rankings to know it was bad. I mean, you finish with less than 200 passing yards in the NFL 2 weeks in a row, you're going to be near the bottom because this is a pass-happy league. So I'm not surprised to hear that. I would have guessed that they were somewhere between 25 and 32. It's not good, but I'm not any more – I don't feel any differently about it having heard that.
Yeah, and also, they go hand in hand. Because the defensive stats, I don't know, you haven't named those yet, but I'm sure that they're really good. And sometimes I remember there was a few years back where this team wasn't very good at all, but their defense was good, and therefore they weren't given a lot of they were getting some short fields. Now that really hasn't happened a lot this year, but when your defense is good and you're getting off the field and your offense doesn't have a long ways to go, and then if they're not going anywhere with it, you know what I mean? They're only going 15, 20 yards and getting a field goal. So sometimes those can kind of affect each other. We're only 2 games into this, but I agree with Dave. We don't need stats to know the defense is playing well. The offense isn't. They're not sustaining drives.
So in the NFL, 300 is what you're looking for to feel good about the offense, right?
Total yards?
Yeah. I mean, 300 is what you're looking for to start to feel good. And then 330 is a good day. 350 is a really good day. If you're pushing 400, you did awesome. They had 232 in week 1 and 255 in week 2. I mean, that's bad. That's, like I said, there's no way around it. And even, obviously, those things go hand in hand, but the running game hasn't been what we've been used to. I mean, even in this game, what was the final tally? 138. So 138 is pretty good, but for what this team has done, you see Zeke with 130 and then another 30 on top of that. Like this team pushes 150, 160, 180, and they haven't even been doing that, partially because the passing game hasn't been there. So
are you guys at all concerned about the running game? Because I think we kind of all expected coming into this season that maybe the passing offense would not be as good as maybe what you saw a few years ago, because they had so much transition. There were so many new parts in new places, and you weren't necessarily convinced that the coordinator would know how to use all the right pieces, especially at the beginning of the season. Are you at all concerned, though, with the running part of the offense?
I mean, yeah, I think so. It's not they're not overpowering people, and I think there's a lot of reasons for it. I think it's the fact that you don't have to. I mean, teams don't have to get beat up like that because they're just not going to get. They don't feel like they're going to get beaten over the top. You got to keep doing that with Tavon Austin. You got to keep doing it now with Deontay. If Bryce is in here, you got to do that. That's got to be the way that their intermediate passing game is not going to be there because that's not his strength. And they don't have a tight end that can help and really do anything. I think a tight end that could turn around, get open after 12, 15 yards, get up the field, they miss that. They really do. I mean, you can say what you want about Jason Witten not being what he was, but they don't have a guy that can really – Swain hasn't showed it yet. I'm not saying he can't do it, but he hasn't shown it yet, and they haven't shown that part of the offense. I think that tight end game is really affecting a lot of things with this offense.
I feel pretty good, all things considered, because the passing game was not great the other night. Like, it was serviceable, but again, like if you don't even throw for 200 yards in the NFL, that's not anything anybody should be proud of. But they ran for 138. Zeke averaged 4.6, and they averaged 5.5 as a team. And that's against, we talked all last week. No, the Giants' front seven isn't as good as it has been in recent years. Olivier Vernon wasn't there. But we talked, Landon Collins was down in the box. They were going to try to put the game in Dak's hands. And they couldn't 100% do it. I mean, the Cowboys ran for 50 yards on that final drive of the game, the one that put the game away. And like I said, they averaged 5.5 yards per carry. So if you can do that against the Giants, I feel pretty good that you can do it against all but a handful of teams. And, I mean, the Panthers being one of them. I mean, you got all-pro defensive tackles and a guy like Luke Kuechly. You can definitely take it away, but I think there's way more teams in the league that can't than those that can.
It's interesting you bring that up because I did go and look at the teams the Cowboys have to play. And let's talk about it from this standpoint. If you look at the rushing game, for example, of the 11 teams the Cowboys have left on their regular season schedule, 4 of those teams, 2 of those teams they have to play twice, but 4 of those teams have a top 10 rush defense right now. Now, of course, we've only had 2 games. Mm-hmm. A lot of that's dictated by who you play this early in the season. But Philadelphia is first, Tampa Bay second, Indianapolis is 9th, Washington is 10th. So when you start talking about defenses that you think could give you problems against your running attack, it remains to be seen. But at least for right now, 4 of those teams that you have to play in the final 11 teams you play have top 10 defenses against the run.
Yeah, I think I've never really been a big fan of looking at numbers like this early, and no offense to that, but just because one of the reasons why, let's say people could say, well, the Rams haven't really played any good offenses yet, like the Raiders and the Cardinals. Well, one of the reasons they're not a good offense is because they played the Rams. The Rams put them in that boat, And it's kind of like when they say this early in the year, you haven't beaten a team with a winning record. Well, it's because we beat you. That's one of the reasons. So right. I think it's still early for that. But we can kind of use the eye test on this stuff, and we kind of can see who's good and who isn't. And I think it's a little bit of reason to be concerned that they can't do what they want all the time. But if they can I think throwing the ball deeper like that, I mean, they made an effort to do it. And I've never understood Garrett saying, well, it's in the offense. We've tried. Call it. I mean, get it blocked. Your guys can block, your receiver can run, and your quarterback can throw. Throw it. I just don't understand why you can't ever throw it. And they did. They just threw it. They caught one. A couple didn't, And then later in the game, you saw Zeke had a little bit more openings. I think there's something to that. It's not that hard, really. Throw it, as Randy Moss would say. Just throw it.
I will say this, though, and I agree with you from the standpoint of the numbers this early. The one thing that does concern me just a bit, though, and we'll keep an eye on this as the season progresses, But we talked about that rush defense number. When you look at the pass defenses that you'll have to face, right now there's 6 of the 11 teams that you have to play that have top 10 pass defenses.
Who?
It is Washington at number 1. It's New York at number 2. You've already faced. It's Detroit at number 4. Carolina at 7. Jacksonville at 9. They'll probably finish the season at 1, I would guess.
That's kind of my point.
Atlanta at 10. I get it.
Giants are up there. Why?
Here's the point. Here's the point I'll make about this. The one interesting thing about me, there are a couple teams on here that have the kind of offenses where you have to throw the ball to keep up. I think Detroit has an offense like that where you have to score and you're going to have to pass the ball in order to keep up. I think Atlanta's like that. So you would think that these are games where their opponents are also throwing the ball a lot and probably have to throw it pretty well, right?
I'm going to stick with the old man thing here because I don't buy any of this crap until after like 5 or 6 weeks, I think. Like 2 games is such a small sample size. The Redskins opened the season against Arizona.
Yes.
Like they look like they are a
second
mess.
to worst, maybe.
Of course, I hope you had a good pass defense against them. Yeah. And I'm not saying I'm not saying no.
Unfortunately.
I'm not saying
or Buffalo, unfortunately.
I am not saying they're not good. They might be the best secondary in the history of the game, but this is not a big enough sample size for me to care. Really, the only thing I know for sure, because I've seen it happen 10 times in my career covering the Cowboys, is the Eagles are going to be a problem. As long as Fletcher Cox is there. They're going to be a problem. They have shut down the Cowboys running game year after year. They did it when DeMarco was here. They've done it when Zeke was here. I know that's going to be a deal. Other than that, I need more time because
but you know
what was it last year? Somebody on the Cowboys schedule last year was super proud of their run defense. I don't remember who it was, but it was like all we talked about going into the game, and it was embarrassing. Like
2 years ago, it happened back-to-back games at Green Bay.
Maybe that's
Cincinnati.
No,
and it was like
maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Like the Packers it was like a historic low. Like nobody's ever given up fewer rushing yards to start a season.
34 yards, and they had 34 yards in the first drive.
It was embarrassing. And again. Some of these trends are going to prove to be true. That's not my point. It's just that we don't know enough yet for me to sit here and act like these stats are gospel. All I know right now is that the passing game's got to get a lot better for this team to be balanced enough to win games.
I think we're seeing that just how good Travis Frederick has been for this team and this offense. I don't think Looney's been a problem. Not really.
No, but he hasn't been the best in the game.
But he hasn't been the best. And I think that's, does he give up a lot of sacks? No. But is he pushing the guy off the ball and doing the things and open up this, he's not hurting you, but I don't know how much he's helping you.
The run game, I think, is where you see
and the calls. I mean, just recognizing, okay, the linebacker's here. We're going to shift this thing here. I don't know. And now I know Zach is out actually helping with some of the calls as well, but it's better for the center to do it. I don't know if Travis is going to come back. I really don't. And if he does, I don't know if he'll be the same. I don't. Not this year. I know, was it Schlereth?
Mark Schlereth.
He said it took him a while to get his strength back.
Wasn't he out, though, for a year, and then it took him a while to get his strength back after that?
And maybe it's just a psychological thing that I know this. But if you look at Travis Frederick, he doesn't look the same right now. Just a little body type, just looks like he's lost some of that strength. I could be dead wrong there, but maybe because I'm just kind of noticed it,
Even if you don't notice it, like I said it at the start of the season, and I still believe it. And the more games we get into this thing, the more I feel like I was right, which is, why? Like you probably could have just put this guy on IR, and that's not a knock on him. I know he wants to be out there, but he's not going to play week 3, so you're almost halfway through the window for IR. And Jerry Jones said Sunday there's still no timetable. I think Travis last talked to us 2 weeks ago and said he was still experiencing numbness in his hands and feet. I mean, does that sound like a guy who's going to be ready to play? And that's why, again, it's not a knock on him. I think the world of him. I hope he recovers 100%, but just take football out of it for a little while and don't just put him on the shelf, which I don't know if that's something they're going to do, but I don't get the feeling like he's going to help you anytime soon.
They lift every week, they go in there on Fridays, and that's part of this is during the season. He obviously hasn't been able to do that. I mean, if he can't feel his hands and some of his feet, he's not going to be lifting weights. So I mean, he's not in football shape right now, and I just think it's going to take a little bit. So the point is, you can get excited about Randy Gregory coming back on defense. You can get excited if you want about David Irving coming back. But just like we're doing all this without Frederick, I don't know if you're going to get Frederick back, and if you are, I don't know if he'll be the same.
One more thing I want to hit before we take our final break. I don't think any of us expected at this point of the season we would have three games in a row where the Cowboys will face teams that at this moment don't have a win. This week we go to Seattle, and they'll face the Seahawks. Then they have a game against Detroit at home, who's also 0-2. Then they go on the road to Houston, who's also 0-2. I think most of us probably thought that at least Seattle and Houston would be pretty good this year. So far, that is not reflected in their records. That being said, of those next 3 games, which one do you think is the most troublesome for the Cowboys of those 0-2 teams that they'll face over the next 3 weeks?
I would say Seattle. I think that's going to
Why?
be
Because of place?
That's part of it. I mean, not that they haven't won there, but I just don't feel like I just think the whole setting of it is going to be tough. I mean, you talk about an 0-2 team making their home opener. They got to have this one. They probably don't like all the stuff that's been talked about, with Earl Thomas and all that. They're like, watch this. And I feel like, it's a quarterback that they gave up a lot of sacks last night. They did, but I still think that's going to be a tough game. I mean, Detroit at home will be tough, and Houston, that'll be tough. You got a lot of Cowboy fans there, though. I just think Seattle, if I had to guess, would be the toughest one. So it could be a hornet's nest that you're walking into there.
I feel relieved because I thought I was crazy for thinking that. But literally, I watched the whole game. I'm sure most of the people, or a lot of people listening to this did too. And rather than feel good about how bad they looked, I was just like, this is bad.
Yeah,
good. I would rather they win and be 1-1 and the sky's not falling, because an 0-2 team, not just an 0-2 team, but an 0-2 team that's used to winning, that knows how to win. It's got a quarterback that's won a Super Bowl. The coach has won a Super Bowl. There's some fiercely proud players on that defense like Earl Thomas and Bobby Wagner who are not used to sucking. And I just think they'll probably pull out all the stops to keep this slide from getting worse. I don't feel good about it at all.
Maybe it was because I was here in the late 90s, early 2000s. I've seen, though, when you have those kind of guys, when you have a bunch of guys around them that are young and don't know how to win, they can easily get frustrated. And before you know it, if they may not even have enough to be able to lead them out of that, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, there are 3 guys on that team that you look at and say, oh, yeah, they're a part of the greatness that Seattle has been and had what they've represented for all these years. When you look at Russell and you look at Earl Thomas and you look at Bobby Wagner, but there's a bunch of guys going. I mean, I don't know that I've seen a team other than maybe San Francisco, maybe it was 5 years ago, just lose all of their players that were their name guys, just all of a sudden seem to not be there anymore.
And to your point, 2002 Cowboys. I'm just thinking about that particular team. Darren Woodson was still playing at a high level.
Was still there.
Roy Glover,
yeah.
Dexter Coakley, and you still can only win 5 games.
Yeah.
I think we're on to something that let's see what happens, because it's hard to put a team 0-3. But one of the reasons why they're 0-2 is because when you watch their offense and you're like, they're going to have a hard time moving the ball on this defense. And their defense can be exploited a little bit, especially if you can run it on them. It'll be a fun game. It'll be a fun game. Weather will be a factor. We'll talk about that all week.
I don't want to get too far into it if I have to give a scouting report on them tomorrow, but I just would like to point out, I mean, these teams are pretty familiar with each other by this point. The 14 game is still the best Cowboys game I've watched. 15, and then last year too. So they've played 3 times in the last 3 or 4.
Both teams are so different.
But
they were last year.
The point I want to make is that Seattle not being able to protect Russell Wilson is not a new thing.
That's true.
And they have schemed ways to keep him clean enough to beat the Cowboys the last 2 times they've played. So I'm just saying, the Cowboys pass rush looks better than it has. Seahawks protection looked real bad last night, but I remember in 15, he had no time whatsoever. I mean, Greg Hardy made that acrobatic pick and Russell Wilson tackling him by his shoestring was the only thing that kept him out of the end zone, but they still won that game. So
All right, let's take our final break. We'll come back. We'll close out the show, get you guys some more information here. We'll talk a little bit more about the confidence meter on some different players, some different parts of the team. We'll do that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
Cowboys fans know that the second best of anything simply won't cut it, and your skincare should be no different. A longtime locker room favorite of the players and the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Dallas-based Jack Black is the #1 best-selling men's skincare brand in the country because we make products that help guys look, smell, and feel better. Visit getjackblack.com/Cowboys to get $10 off your first order of $50 or more. Jack Black. Look good, smell good, feel good. Official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with sideline access and photo ops with current players, alumni, and cheerleaders. That's not all, though. You'll get to talk X's and O's with Senior Director of Player Personnel Will McClay, and of course with yours truly, me, Brian Broaddus. You can trust the official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and with us, you'll travel like a pro. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man's Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/Cowboys.
What does it mean to be a Dallas Cowboys fan? It means you've got the passion and the heart to do your part supporting the boys no matter what. That's why when the game's on the line, you're on your feet, whether you're at home or in the stands. Actually, you're more than a fan. You are a member of Cowboys Nation, and so is AT&T, doing their part to keep you connected to America's team all season long. AT&T is a proud member of Cowboys Nation.
Back to the break.
All right, let's talk a little Tommy John. Now, we don't have any gifts like we did yesterday, but let me ask, is anybody Cowboys out?
I'm wearing one of the gift pairs, but not the Cowboys pair.
The other one.
Yeah.
What's it going to take for you to wear the Cowboy one?
You're going to wear them.
This is going to, like... I'll wear it. When it's the next one on top of the pile. Like, that's about...
You're gonna
won't matter.
That's as much thought as I put into my
Tommy,
underwear.
Tommy John is. We all know about how great the fabric is and how you don't have any, adjustment needed and all that good stuff. You know this by now, but what you don't know is that they are giving 20% off your first order. Do you know that?
I know that.
Well, that's what they're doing.
Now.
Yep. TommyJohn.com/Cowboys. As you saw yesterday, they also have women's apparel.
You didn't see it. No.
You saw that there was there. You didn't see it, but you saw it, and you can see it on their website, TommyJohn.com.
And Amber did tell you that she checked it out and she was very impressed with it, so that was good.
This is the best version of it that we've had in a while.
All right, let's get back into it. We'll take some phone calls. The number's 888-855-2297. Again, it is 888-855-2297. We'll try to get a couple calls here before we end the show. We got a call from Rob in Vegas. Rob, what up?
Hey, Rob.
Hey, guys.
How you doing?
Good. Another year.
Another year.
Yes, sir.
Talking about Bryce Butler, I don't think he has to be great. I think he just has to be better than Terrence Williams. And right now, that ain't going to take much. I think he's got 2 catches.
That's not a bad point at all.
Yep.
And can we get away from the 2 tight end sets? I mean, I don't know what it accomplished. You're either going to get a holding penalty. We never throw it to them. And let's just go spread them out. I think that's what they started against the Giants. It looked better. And then I think they closed it back in, and all of a sudden they couldn't move the ball. I think use the speed that we finally have. Get Rico Gathers in there. Should have been a touchdown. I'm not saying the guy maybe truly knows all the playbook, but he's an athlete, and he's so big. I think he could just do more stuff. And I'd rather go that way. Let's use the speed. And Dak is never going to be Tony Romo when it comes to throwing the ball. As a fan, I have to realize that. And I'm okay with it if they use him like they did against the Giants. If they try to make him a passer, this team's going to suffer. Let him do his few runs, and if he gets 170, 180 yards passing and 50 yards rushing, but gets first downs on those runs, I'm okay with it.
Yep, I think that's very logical. Thanks for the call. And,
I said that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No.
I said that yesterday. It's a totally arbitrary number that I made up. But if you go look at the games where Dak has played the best, he flirts with 230 to 250 yards. He doesn't have to throw for 250. If he throws for 180 and runs for 60, or if he throws for 220 and runs for 30, if the runs are productive and the throws are smart, like that's this offense. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. I think that's their best way to move the chains. And I was disheartened a little bit to hear Stephen Jones say that he wasn't sure it should be a weekly staple to be running Dak like that. He said that on the Fan 105.3 here in Dallas yesterday, and I was like, I disagree, Stephen. I know it's your team, but I think a minimum of 5. No, I wouldn't want him running 15 times like Cam Newton, but a minimum of 5 carries per week for Dak, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And
to me, it has to be a part of the offense.
I agree.
Because that's one of the best things that Dak does. So when you take it, I've watched this with my college team. When you put a guy out there and you know the best of what he does and refuse to do what he does best, to me, that's short-circuiting your team. It kind of defeats the purpose of putting him out there. Put the other guy out there if you don't think you want to do the things that he does best. So I think it's kind of necessary, I think.
And you got to take advantage of where the rules are. I think it's one of the worst rules the NFL has. But when you get to run 25 yards and then decide that you get to slide,
party's over. Yep.
You got to take advantage of it. I think the NFL should change it, but they won't. And take advantage of it.
And that, to go back to the other point too, is I don't need Dak to run for 60 yards, like Cam Newton. And if he runs 5 times for 21 yards and one of those is a touchdown and another one is a crucial third down conversion, that's pretty big, even if it doesn't jump off the stat sheet.
If he gets to the outside, because he keeps the ball, he gets to the outside at the 40-yard line and went 20 yards, and then you get down to the 8, and they do it again, and that linebacker is cheating, going, is Dak going to keep it? And that's all it takes for Zeke to run right up the middle. Because the threat is there. So I definitely think you got to make it a staple.
The one thing I will say, though, is I kind of agree with Stephen from this standpoint. If it's a zone read and it's not there, then they don't need to call plays for him to run. They need to create those opportunities where it's an option. That forces teams to say, we're going to choose one way or the other. If a team's going to say, we're going to take Dak away, we don't want Dak to be running free with the ball, that's fine. I'll give it to Zeke every time. And as a matter of fact, I'd love to give it to Zeke. So if they want to take that away, whatever they're going to give up in order to take that away, then give it up, take it away, and we'll gladly not run the quarterback. Yeah. But that's from that standpoint, he doesn't have to be – him being a runner doesn't have to be a staple of the offense. Him an option as a runner, to me, does have to be a staple of the offense.
We talked about the tight ends yesterday, and we will keep talking about them, I'm sure. But there's 2 routes that I feel like they're going to go with that. They're going to say – we're not really doing this well, we need to do something else, or they're going to say we're not doing this well because these guys are so new and we need to keep doing it so they get better. And that's just a guess on my part.
I'm going to guess they're going that way.
I think they're going to go the latter part. They're going to say rather than do something else because we're better at it, we're going to just hammer this thing until we get better.
We're going to worry about what we do, not what somebody else does to us.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we appreciate you guys joining us. We're back tomorrow. 11:45. Till then, for Nick Eatman, Dave Hellman, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?